Afternoon, folks. Today I'm looking at another Malibu, but this one is the 2016 Chevy Malibu Hybrid. This is actually Chevy's first real hybrid because the Volt doesn't count. The Volt was a range extended electric, meaning that the gasoline engine in that car powered the battery pack, which in turn powered the electric motors. This car gets its power from the engine directly to the wheels and has an additional electric motor sandwiched between the two in order to give you that electric motor range that it has. It uses a battery pack in the trunk, which is a 1.5 kilowatt hours, which is not a lot. That's why the car only gets 5 miles in pure electric mode. However, that wasn't the point of this car. This car is not a direct competitor for the Prius. It's not a direct competitor for any of the other cars that were designed specifically like the Prius. This is a car that was designed as a car first and then modified to become a hybrid, much like the Honda Accord hybrid or the Toyota Camry hybrid. So it's more of a mild hybrid, I guess I would call it, but it works very well. This splits the difference. For all of you that are wondering why I'm doing a hybrid video after I've explained myself and my views on the Chevy Volt. This car splits that difference. It's a car first, hybrid second to improve its gas mileage. It wasn't a car designed to cheat the gas mileage program. So I approve of the car because it was a car first. Does that make sense? So yeah, go ahead and hit that keyboard running right now if you want to leave me some hate comments, because I'm ready for them. I'm wearing my big boy underwears today. That little H badge is the only physical difference between a standard Malibu and the hybrid, which is very nice. I don't care for cars that look completely different like they were doing for a while. You know, where they had all those arrow shutters and all that weird stuff. Sorry, the car's dirty. It's actually going away tomorrow, so we haven't washed it today. That's the shot of the dual roof on it. Looks pretty good. So, as we stand here, this is the front three-quarter view of the Chevy Malibu Hybrid. And again, as I said, it looks just like a regular car. So there's really no visual cues until you get to the back of it that this is actually a hybrid. It's a very good-looking car. And as with most of the mid-size cars, it is bumping up dang near into full-size category. So don't be surprised if the Malibu eventually supplants the Impala as the top of the line vehicle. Good lines. I like the way the trunk comes down. Very much inspired by the Audi A7 when those came out, and the CLSs. Although some cars can't pull off that look, that roof line, as well as others because they have too much room behind the rear glass. This one gets it pretty good. Alright, as you can see, if you bought just your Billy Basic Malibu Hybrid, you get it for $27,770. This has a few extras like the $1,100 sunroof with second row skylight. What that means is this piece of glass doesn't move, this piece of glass does. Now, it has the driver confidence package, which is the intelligent high beams, which basically means it will dim itself, and a few other things. Forward collision alert, rear cross traffic alert, lane keep, and automatic braking at lower speeds, as well as the MyLink audio system with navigation and Teen Driver. Teen Driver is very similar to the MyKey for Ford, in which you can actually set the system up to do certain features or limit certain things, such as top speed, top volume on the audio system, and a few other select features. As you can see here, it has a combined rating of 46 miles per gallon. It gets 47 city, 46 highway. 47 city, of course, is because it does jump in and out of electric mode more often and will run in electric as long as it can. 46 is still a darn decent mileage for especially a car of this size. So I guess we'll start with the focal point of this model, which is the hybrid battery display. So it's pretty standard across every hybrid. It's a little bit different for each company, but it basically shows you where your power is going at any time. This is your battery pack that's in the trunk under the floor. That's a graphic of the electric motor, and that is your gasoline engine. See there, some power is being used. Now we're backing up. But yeah, so other than that, this display is actually very much like all the rest fully functioned navigation, weather, Pandora. That's your energy one for your display. But yeah, it's a very nice sound system. Sounds really good. It's a Bose system. Down here, your full array of controls for the temperature and climate. As I said, this is pretty much identical in terms of the interior to the, what was it, the LT or the 2LT Malibu I showed you before. Very similar layout to the dashboard. However, the main difference, as I said before, is that gauge replaces the tachometer with a battery gauge. And this is when it starts going into gasoline engine usage. It's kind of like a rev counter, but not really. It just shows that the engine's working. And your configurable center screen. Yes, I managed to say configurable. As I've always said, I'm not a huge fan of sunroofs, but on some cars they actually work and they do look pretty good. So I'm not going to hate on this one. That was the inside of the car. Now we're going to take a look at the trunk, and I'll show you where the compromised room is, as well as a shot under the hood, and then we'll go for a test drive. So this is the rear trunk room now. As you can see, it's still quite a lot of space to put stuff, but the battery pack does intrude a little bit, but it's placed in a position where you can still use the pass-through from the back seat for your longer items, and you still have plenty of room for all your other storage. As is the norm, I don't know how well that's coming off, no spare tire on the hybrids, although you could actually fit one in this well, unlike the Ford Fusion where the battery actually protrudes too far out and you can't actually put a spare tire back there. So under the hood of this car you have the 1.8 liter Ecotec. That's actually the exact same engine that's in the Chevy Sonic. However, in this case, when you come over to this side of the engine, you see you have your hybrid stuff. This is what makes it the hybrid. And of course, you know, I gave credit to the last 4 Chevys for having gas struts, and this one has a prop rod. Dang it, false praise heaped on it. As I was saying, it makes 181 horsepower and that much torque because I forgot, and now I have to look it up. But it'll be right here, or right here, but probably here, maybe here. Okay guys, here we are. We're going to go ahead and do the test drive now. And as I said, this is the actual first real hybrid from GM. I know they make the Volt and they have for a while, but this has been their first just full-on hybrid drive, go, put gas in, regenerates on its own car. After selling Fords for 3.5 years and working a lot with the Fusion hybrid, I'm very familiar with how the system should feel. And if it's anything like the Fusion, it will actually be a pretty solid vehicle. So we'll see how this goes. In terms of power, it actually splits the difference between the 2-liter turbo and the 1.5-liter turbo. Pardon me, I had to think about it there for a second. In the fact that this one makes 181 horsepower. So it's going to be middle of the road in terms of acceleration as well. So it has better power and torque than the base model, but it has less power than the 2-liter motor. Should make sense, right? And for the price, it's not bad. For the options you get and whatnot, it splits the difference quite well. It's on par with the Fusion hybrids. It's a little bit slower than I believe the Camry hybrid in the last test, but it's not a Camry. Sorry, it's just not. The Camry is faster than this vehicle, and that's to be expected. They've had more time to develop the hybrid system. It's probably a little bit more advanced, so I will give credit to Toyota for that one. Can you guys forgive me for the Prius comment? Maybe. Braking is nice and linear. It splits right where it should be. It's not as obvious as it used to be in earlier hybrid cars when you're in the regenerative and then just the straight braking modes. This one has an obvious difference between the two, which is fine. I like that. All the exact same appointments inside the vehicle. There's nothing that's weird or different about this one from a regular car other than, of course, the power gauge. There's no tachometer. It uses a power gauge, which most hybrids do, so that's common. Now this vehicle has a much smaller battery pack than some of its contemporary vehicles. However, it only gives up 4 cubic feet in the trunk by doing that. It is only capable of going about 5 miles on pure electric mode, but the main point of the system is just to increase its actual driving mileage. This is not to replace the Volt or even be like its neighbor in the category. So in that respect, I like this vehicle more than I tend to a lot of vehicles in the segment. So its main goal was just to improve its gas mileage and not be as pretentious. That's why when we were walking around it, you saw all it had was one little H badge on it in order to denote what it was. So ride, really not that much different. It's a little bit heavier because you got the battery pack and everything else, but it's not bad at all. I don't really care about watching the flow of energy or anything like that. It just happened to be the screen that popped up, so whatever, no problem, let it be. So we're on the way back now. It drives as I expected it to. It's quite comfortable, as the previous vehicle that I drove was. It does everything well, like it should. I recommend it. I'm not going to tell somebody to buy it, but I don't think it's a bad car at all. It's definitely worth giving a look-see if you're going to be looking at, especially the Fusion Hybrid. I would definitely take a look at this one as a direct competitor because it is absolutely in that class. So it feels pretty seamless when it kicks from electric to the engine. However, it is a little bit noisier than some of them tend to be. That was it. Thank you very much. I want to say thank you to Ted Britt Chevrolet for letting me borrow the vehicle as per the usual. I will put their information in the description down below. Check them out online, give us a call, whatever you want to do. And I will talk to you soon, I think. And until we do, talk to you later. Oh, wait, I'm not wearing underwear. Moving on. As you can see here, as soon as I move my finger, one should not leave one's camera in the sun because it gets hot. I'll never be able to drive a Toyota. They just won't let me. Excuse me, apparently I'm allergic to hybrids. That was a joke, people.